Greetings, greetings, greetings. Captain Buffalo Soldier here. Uh, this video here is one very personal. Um, my name is James Ross. So I was born James Ross, James Edward Ross. I am 60 years old. I'll be 61 on the 5th of August. And my life has taken place all over the world. I got two sons and maybe a daughter. Uh, that I plan to find out the ins and outs of that, but another story. My boys are, I believe in September, will be 29 and 39, Lamar and Kyle. And this video is about their mothers and their connection to me and what I call the curse of the white girls. But specifically, I want to tap in and address this second wife personally, uh, Anja Beemster, born Afra Beemster, who is 64 years old, to be 65 in June, June the 8th. And I remember specifically because I didn't give her a birthday present, and then that following year she served me with divorce papers and made sure they got there on the 8th of June, so that I always remember. Nonetheless, wife, uh, I I don't have maliciousness, meaning I don't make these videos to get back at you for being cruel, or doing anything to me, cheating on me, or what have you. I make these videos to expose the fact that I have known these things about you and deciphered my life many years ago, and to encourage you to stop uh, casting spells and paying practitioners to try to do voodoo on me and shit, using my pictures and witchcraft spells and bringing my name up to your witches, covens, and friends, and you and your sisters trying to do some black magic on me. Uh, I have successfully alchemized all of those energies, and and I'm trying to protect my son because the evil spirits that y'all conjured up is coming after y'all in search of blood. Okay, and somebody gonna have to pay a price. You can't conjure up evil spirits and think that you're not gonna be accountable to them. So with that being said, you know, many years ago when our son was a little baby, you teamed up with my teacher in an evil sexual relationship to and attempting to destroy me, thinking you was gonna raise his son next to my son. You know, impossible. You know, because I'm a man of God. He's an evil spirit. So the two don't go together. Uh, what you failed to realize was me coming into your life was an opportunity for you. Not you was giving me something, I was giving you something. So you slapped me in the face, slapped God in the face, and ruined your own destiny. Is why you uh, very well possibly have to spend the rest of your remaining years alone. I would have stayed with you uh, as old as we both would have gotten, okay, because I loved you, okay. I might have looked around basically to see what your reaction was going to be, but I had no intention on going anywhere. Would no woman be able to take me away from you? So, with that being said, I've been alone all of these years. Uh, Not that I haven't had sex, I have, but that I had not truly had any interest or given my heart to anyone. Just that it didn't happen. Not that I wasn't willing to love again. I am, and I will love again. If I got to go uh, leave the United States to get me somebody, I will. But I'm about to start driving for a living. But that's not why I'm making this video to build myself up. I, I I'm very disappointed in you that you took such a chance with this evil villain in my life named Amin Hassan. See, he was a black magic practitioner that you latched a hold of. When you saw my power and acknowledged that when we were in Los Angeles, okay, he fooled you into believing that he was the source of my power. God is the source of my power, baby, not this evil villain. You know that now, but you were such a ignorant young girl back then. You couldn't see that he fooled you. So in the process of him fooling you, he got you to co-sign on the death of a young man, one of my classmates. So as well as the baby that you was carrying for him. So and you losing that baby and calling him to inform him of that, he took me to Pee Wee's dojo. So Pee Wee, so wife, I'm informing you that you're responsible for this death of this young man. Okay, well with your relationship with my teacher. Okay, and in turn, the ripple effect of that was him wanting the believing that he had the right to punish me, okay, and believing he had the right to punish God, really, and punishing me as being a man of God, okay, that he took me to Pee Wee's dojo. So Pee Wee is a man that does trophies in Wilmington, Delaware. So when they have martial arts tournaments, Pee Wee is the one that supplies the trophies. So my teacher uh, took me there under the auspice of a test. So we were not talking, my teacher and I. So we were not communicating. So he was in mourning over the child. Okay, that's how I knew he was the father. Okay, not only that, but my wife talked to my teacher 15 to 20 seconds before he gave the phone to me. See, as if the call was for me, but it was for him. It was for the both of us. See, so the wife said to him, if James is there, uh, don't say anything. I lost the baby. Now let me talk to my husband. Okay? So that's how that went down. So, and I then informed her when she told me that, what makes you think I want to have another child with you? So when I was there in Holland, okay, the day before, uh, she and I got together sexually, she uh, seemingly stuck her finger in herself and pulled it out and showed me blood on the end of it, as if to say, let's not have sex tonight because she's on her period, and which was a lie, because we had sex the following night, and then the next day she says, I'm pregnant. And we both laughed, actually. And and I suspected my wife was fucking around, but I didn't confront her about it. And was in denial of her infidelity because she didn't put it up in my face. She threatened me with if I didn't submit and do what she wanted, that she was going to uh, be with another man. She brought me a tape one time of some music of a man demanding I listen, and the hook of his song was, you and your old man was having a fight and you came running out. Why don't you try me? Why don't you try a man like me tonight? So somebody was encouraging her to try other lovers. Not that I had, not that I felt secure that she hadn't been already up until that point, but she didn't allow me to bear witness to her infidelity at that time physically, even though she would take my son and leave for 3, 4 days at a time and come back with naked pictures of her and my son in the bathtub, telling me it was her friend Corinne at one time took the pictures, but I had no proof of that. She could have been at her boyfriend's house taking those nude photos. But anyway, uh, Corinne is a friend of my wife who uh, had a friend of hers jerk off into a cup, and she poured that into herself twice to become pregnant and had 2 healthy children. So, so in other words, that could have been one way of my teacher impregnating my wife, is that he could have sent her his semen, or she could have went to him personally and had sex with him, using my money, mind you, because I had been sending her money uh, from Alaska uh, to help support her and my son, as well as she was getting money for me from the welfare system, even though I wasn't there. So my wife and I were only able to stay together uh, a few weeks or a couple of months before she pushed me away hard enough to where I had to leave the country. Uh, we were living in Amsterdam, Holland at the time. And I went there uh, at her request after I sent her back home when she was getting on my nerves in California to follow uh, before my son was born. So he was conceived, my son Lamar, here in the United States, and was born there in Amsterdam, Holland. And he he's now 28 years old. And so back to my teacher, um, Amin Hassan, maybe 80-ish. I don't know how old he is. I've never asked. Um, so there's some confusion about me that both my teacher and my wife underestimated my intellect because I didn't give them all information about me, opening up my head for them to have a look inside. So Uh, my teacher didn't know that I could see his lack of character. So, in my teacher wanting to punish me, taking me to Pee Wee's dojo, uh, got me to fight with Waylon, who was a black belt at the time. And I had to fight everybody in Pee Wee's class, and then Waylon last. And we had some exchange, and then point here, point there. And then I stepped back off the mat. I was in my 30s at the time. Uh, might have been 31 or so. And so I stepped off the mat, and Waylon hit me and punched me in my eye. And he punched me the hardest I've ever been hit. Okay, so I didn't fall, but I was dazed. And I say it was divine intervention because my eye didn't even get black. So there was no welt or anything, any physical evidence that I had been punched in my eye. Mind you, my eye socket was fractured. Okay, I could physically feel the bone had been cracked around my eye. Okay, so my eye socket in the cheek area had been fractured, and my eye didn't even get black. Now I took that to be that God had uh, didn't allow my eye to swell up to give my teacher the satisfaction of seeing me hurt physically. So, uh, with that being said, Waylon is dead. So I put that, I give that to you, wife, Anja Beemster, that you're responsible for this young man's death. Uh, with the death of the baby that you had, also you wanting my death as payment, you got this young man's death instead uh, with that ritual that y'all did for the life for a life. And and so, with that being said, uh, the reason Waylon was sacrificed is not only to punish me. Reason he was used was not only to punish me, uh, but to punish Pee Wee also and Shelley. So Shelley is also dead. So at the same time, Waylon and his mother died. So I'm giving you those deaths, wife, on your Beemster. So Waylon and Shelley died uh, because my teacher was upset with them because they had a school. So Waylon was Amin Hassan, my teacher's student, and once he became a brown belt, my teacher took him. Waylon's father took him. So Pee Wee took him away from my teacher and started his own school and was using Waylon to teach the classes. So uh, my teacher was upset with Pee Wee about that and told me that Pee Wee bought himself a black belt so that he didn't go to school and train nowhere and get promoted to a black belt. My teacher say that Pee Wee, you got your black belt just out of thin air and made yourself a black belt. So that was the reason he had animosity towards you. Now, mind you, my teacher is the sinister type. I mean, Hassan, that you never knew that he didn't like you. You never knew that he didn't respect you, and that he was upset or angry with you. So he bided his time and, in essence, killed two birds with one stone. Excuse the pun. That your wife and your son is dead because of him. So those are the two birds, and attempting to get me as well, which he did. But God wouldn't allow him to take my life, him or the wife. So the wife was fooled into believing that my teacher had some kind of power or authority over me, and whatever power that he has, his jurisdiction runs out concerning me. So my teacher have sacrificed many of his students. So a lot of his students are dead and had died young, like Alex, who was a high school student, was a new black belt of my teacher. That he died, and Charles, who was my classmate, who uh, got promoted to green belt same time as me, and he died. And uh, I'm not sure whether Charles is dead or whether or not he's in a wheelchair handicapped. I know that something happened to Charles, but I'm not sure exactly what it is. I'm assuming that he died. But Brother Leon, who was one of my teacher's older black belts, uh, he died. And my teacher said he died of some mysterious ailment he didn't want nobody to know about, which is a goddamn lie. Anyway, um, uh, Aaron, Waylon have a brother named Aaron, but there's a older student who was about my age named Aaron, also, who uh, was my teacher's student, uh, as well as my teachers, as well as Pee Wee's son, Aaron. So I'm not talking about Pee Wee's son, Aaron, who's, I believe, is a fine young man now, separated from my teacher. God bless him in his life that he raised a family and do well. But anyway, my classmate Aaron, who was a black belt in Shotokan, who he and I were very competitive towards each other, and my teacher sacrificed him also. Supposedly a man shot him in the face with a BB gun, and the BB went into his eye and reached his heart and killed him. Uh, so it's my belief that rituals have taken place, and to put these people, my classmates, on an altar of my teachers, to have them sacrificed for him to gain power and authority spiritually in the martial arts. However, he made the mistake to include me in that, or I made the mistake in just being associated with him, and it didn't work. So all of what it has cost him, I don't know, or what it will cost him in the future, I don't know. But I do know that uh, it affects the bloodline. So he curses his own bloodline, and then my wife also, and her sister, who is a participant in all of this also. Being that Marielle Beemster, my wife's sister, married an African dude to produce children uh, for the family, so my son wouldn't be alone in my wife's white family, who uh, who uh, alienated my son. So Uh, so she had two boys, and she never, when she married this man, this African dude, I don't know his name or the names of the children, but she had never intended to stay with the man. So one of my little sisters who went to Holland to celebrate my son's birthday told me that he wasn't very unattractive. The husband of Marielle, and who was there at the time. And I said, well, she selected him to make it easy for her to part company with him when it came time that she fulfilled the obligation to produce two children, as what was the agreement between her and her sister, Anja Beemster, who was my ex-wife. I'm assuming that we're divorced. I never saw the papers, and I may have to officially do it here myself in the U.S. before I take my third wife. But yeah, so as I say, I'm making this video to say that, you know, stop doing your spells and rituals against me because the information is already out. So, and that you don't have to worry about me making a movie about your filth and foulness. I'm making a video and putting it out there already with the intention of it reaching Holland. Uh, so that's already done, you know. So I still intend to make media products to produce uh, an income, to produce wealth. But as far as you keeping some kind of secrets about your narcissism and your foul and disrespectful, dishonorable, disgusting, perverted behavior, I'm already doing that. So with this video series, so uh, for those people in New Zealand that you stole that money from, I don't know what is the issue concerning their heirs, but Anja Beemster had a relationship with a man named Spikerman. So this Spikerman may have been a Dutchman that was living in New Zealand. I'm not certain, but I believe my wife had a sexual relationship with this man who left her in his will. So uh, he left her in his will a substantial sum of money because she presented me and my son as her burdens, and that you know, this black man left, that she was this innocent white Dutch woman, chose to love and share her life with, had betrayed her and left her with a child, and where she had the lifelong struggle of this black child shunned, and so he wrote her into his will and left her a substantial amount of money to where she was able to purchase a home, a vehicle, and God knows what else, other investments or whatever. I don't know how much money it was, but if she was able to buy a house with it there in Holland, I know it was quite a large sum. So I don't know whether or not Sparkman had any other heirs, children. And this is something that Dutch travelers do in taking advantage of people and having these lifelong relationships, being able to use people, uh, not just for free lodging when they decide to travel somewhere, that they can stay with people they have had these relationships with. No matter what they got to do, they have to have sex with the host, that they do so and then send their friends to their friends, the connections of relationships, the friends of friends, also having sex with the host in their homes where they're offered this lodging. So the ultimate score is old people leaving them uh, assets, as what my wife had accomplished with Spikerman. And me being the icing on the cake, because back then in '97, the Spikerman called and I answered the phone, and my wife had already had left me, and uh, and it was her birthday. So Spikerman was calling her on her birthday, and I cussed him out because he asked for Anja Beemster, and I said, "Fuck you, Spikerman. Her name is Ross now. She's married to me. I'm her husband." You know, even if he would have just said Anja, would have been more appropriate. You know, that he said Anja Beemster, as if explaining to me who the fuck he wanted to talk to. I was very offended with this man, and and uh, and told him off a couple of different ways. So I imagine that conversation brought him, uh, gave him a little more sympathy toward my wife and obligation, being that she could have used that to guilt trip him into having some type of responsibility for the ending of her marriage and upsetting her husband. So there you go. So that house uh, is a curse to my son, that my wife want to leave my son this asset. And I'm saying to my son Lamar that it's time for you to relocate here to the United States. You can go to the embassy or consulate there. I think it's the embassy there in Amsterdam, an American embassy. And I called them and sent them my birth certificate, ID, and information and shit uh, 15 or 20 years ago, when you was little, trying to get you an American passport. Uh, uh, so you can go there or reach out to me and let me know what's up, that you got my message, and you can go there and get your passport and be able to offer your mother some type of spiritual protection from this karma that she brought onto herself by attempting to curse her father with death. Okay, because she's not going to outlive me, I guarantee you that. But there's a possibility that she could spare her own life and the life of her sister and her two children uh, by correcting themselves. Okay, so Your father, Captain Buffalo Soldiers, making this spiritual offer that I'm not supposed to do, mind you. You know what I mean? I'm supposed to let the hammer drop on them, you know, the wrath of God, you know, but they didn't have no mercy on me. I mean, I was fucked up. I was crying and, you know, suicidal and really fucked up and desperate. And, you know, they laughed at me. You know, Marielle Beemster laughed at me when I called her house and uh, begging and pleading and crying over my wife. You know, they laughed at my voicemail messages, you know. She had a damn good time in my suffering, you know, so I'm supposed to just, you know, lay back and let God go ahead and do what he gonna do to him, you know. Because mind you, they still very busy thinking they able to do something to me, you know, but those evil spirits, uh, they gotta answer to them devils. You know, they gotta deal with them evil spirits they conjured up. So they all in Africa, you know what I'm saying, doing black magic. Some shit that I don't fuck with, I don't know nothing about because it ain't necessary because I know who God is. That God got my back. So I was raised up in the church, but and spent a lot of time studying the Bible and and in prayer, you know, trying to find out who God is. And in the process, discovered that Christianity was incorrect. So I'm no longer a Christian, but I am a man of God. So I don't believe in uh, in Jesus dying for our sins, and you know that He's coming back, the rapture and all of that. I don't believe it no more. See what I'm saying? So I am a man of God whom has opened himself for God's teaching. So if God have anything to say to me, he can say it to me directly. He don't need no prophet, no preacher, no book, or anything like that to speak to my mind. So righteousness, I believe, is in the heart of a man, and that men make a choice to do right and wrong. So our society allows men to not to take responsibility for their actions and blame uh, the devil. Okay, so I believe that men are devils. Men can be devils. Okay, so from a spiritual perspective, I do not claim to have all the answers, and I don't find it necessary for me to have all the answers. That I believe that God gives me the information of what I need, and in the next life, if I have any questions, they'll be answered. So I don't have any fear of any boogeyman or any devil or hell or heaven or God or Jesus or any preachers or saints or devils or devil worshippers, okay, or witches or warlocks. I don't have any fear of these people. Now, I do believe in good and evil, and and am able to alchemize any type of energy that a person could send my way for the detriment of my well-being, so that uh, of things that I do recognize as being outside of myself, uh, doing harm against me. So uh, also, I have God Himself who will take action on my behalf. So those that would come against me, uh, I believe come against God, and God Himself takes action on my behalf. So I have no concern for people, their ill will toward me. I have a divine mission, and my purpose is as such to provide a mechanism by way that people can attain freedom and uh, social and economic balance across the face of the earth. So I have a global mission, uh, and have a plan also to bring this to light. So I'm not so uh, this mission that God has uh, given me is the reason why I can't be knocked off my square. I can't be hurt. I can't be defeated. I can't be killed. So I would have loved for somebody else to uh, steal the ideas that I have come up with, and embrace my mission and take off with it and make it happen to where I could just get on and ride. So basically, what I need for myself, it doesn't exist, and I have to create it for other people. So it's taken me all these years to to create and implement the plan of success for myself, because I've not been able to bow down low enough for it to take conventional means for people to help me, uh, like the HUD-VASH program, which is supposed to provide the funds for rent, rental assistance and moving costs and things like that for veterans of military service. So, yeah, Captain Buffalo Soldier is an actual veteran. Uh, I am a U.S. Navy veteran. That being said, those people who are uh, who are responsible for assisting veterans in those programs, they treat those monies as if, their own personal bank accounts, and they block people. So if they're not in love with you, if they don't like you, they're not going to help you. So I'm unable to bow down low enough and kiss these people's behinds to make use of the funding. So uh, I'm reinventing myself again to drive like one of those big rigs. So I do have a driver's license from Seattle, Washington, and we'll get a California commercial driver's license here in a few weeks. So there's a school that I'm going to that's going to be paid for by the state of California and San Bernardino County. So it's two different programs provide me different types of funding for that. So uh, I'm in the process of doing that so that I don't have to depend on these agencies to help me with housing and pay the rent. And maybe I'll live in a truck for a little while, buy myself an RV, or even put some money down on a house, buy a house, uh, maybe in New Mexico, some damn where it's a little bit cheaper, I'm assuming, temporarily until I could put it down as far as these media products that I'm producing. So the goal is television, film, the movie business, video games. Captain Buffalo Soldier is a complete media product that I've created, uh, something, a legacy I'm building for my sons, my grandchildren, my great grandchildren. intending for us to eat on this for centuries, okay? And uh, and help a lot of other people in the process. So the legacy of Captain Buffalo Soldier is something different, completely separate from the organization that I'm building. But as I say, this specific video is to design to pull the covers and the coattails and the camouflage off of the ex-wife, Anja Beemster there in Amsterdam, Holland, and my former teacher, Amin Hassan there in Barrett, Delaware. So he was in Wilmington, Delaware, and still in and out of there. But Yoko has I'm assuming, uh, bought a house in Barrett, Delaware, where my teacher lives. Yoko is the girlfriend of my teacher who's been taking care of him. He took an early retirement from the VA hospital there in Wilmington so that he could get the money to go to Europe to visit my wife. He told me he went to Germany, but I don't believe that he went all the way over there and didn't make arrangements to see her too. So I'm saying all of this to say that uh, yeah, I believe that my teacher is not only a rapist. He went to prison for uh, some serious felonies and did some years in prison. I don't know for what and how long, but I assume that it was for rape, that he's a sex offender because he told me that he had raped. But I'm not certain of whether or not he's killed anyone. I believe him to be capable of murder, and I suspected that he did kill someone. I thought he had, when my friend Loretta had told me that her brother Phil was dead. That was the first thing that I suspected, that my teacher was the one that killed him, and and in making a deal with Loretta because uh, I loved Loretta, Loretta Morbido, but and she was my friend, and she offered me quite a bit of money for marriage, but I wasn't attracted to her, and I wasn't interested in taking any money from her because I'm not uh, I'm not money motivated. So I supposedly was working for her, and she gave me a bank card and told me to go to the bank and pay myself, which I never did. I don't know that I took one payment. I did take some money out. I might have taken $200 altogether, but it was somebody who needed some money and asked me for $20, and I went to the machine and got him 40. And and at that time, this man actually was somebody that trained with us at least for one day. That told me that he wouldn't hold me back like my teacher was holding me back. He was a black belt, but anyway, uh, I'm bringing up Loretta because she had a brother who was uh, who was an alcoholic, and her brother Phil Morbido, he died, and so Loretta mentioned Phil to me in his death, regarding his death, that he had been murdered by somebody who was he was palling around with in AA, and I didn't believe that that was what happened, because uh, I found Phil to be a very likable person, and well, I liked him a lot myself. Uh, so I was hurt that he died, and I suspected Loretta in his death because she hated her brother because at one point um, uh, she said he might have been doing drugs that he took a lot of money from their mother, which she considered him robbing the family or even robbing her. So Loretta was offended that her brother had taken all this money, and so she didn't want to share with her brother when her mother passed and being what is regarded as inheritance. So white folk are very serious about their inheritance. Money that doesn't belong to them, that belongs to their parents or grandparents or whoever is leaving them in their wills. So, so Loretta was, uh, I don't know how much it was that Phil took, but I don't imagine that it was big enough to say that that was all he should get as far as his inheritance was concerned. But Loretta did, so she was very angry with her brother. She hated him, in fact, and it was so uh, tense that I believe that she was capable of killing her brother for that inheritance. So that was when she told me that Phil was dead. That was the first thing that came to my mind that she used my teacher to take Phil out because Loretta had bought a new house. Well, Phil had twin daughters, and so there's a place in Browntown called a place in Wilmington called Browntown, where she owned was her mother's house, and so her mother had her mother died, she gave that house to Phil's twins. So Phil had twin daughters that inherited that house, and Loretta bought a house in Bear, Delaware, and so my teacher also has a new house in Bear, Delaware. So that was the connection I made, and that I didn't think that Yoko, his girlfriend, as a dental technician, made enough money to buy a $500,000 house in Bear, Delaware. Um, she owned a house in Wilmington, also in the city close by William Hicks Anderson Community Center, where I began my training. I imagine that's how she met my teacher. But uh, uh, also, so she rented that house out to actually to one of my classmates, Dave, and they and bought a new house in Bear, Delaware. So that was the connection I made because when I was in the Caribbean, I called Loretta that she was doing taxes at the time and had a public number. So I called her because I was um, writing about her in my manuscript, Cap Buffalo Soldier, published on Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, and I wanted to dig around into Phil's death, and had when I told her that she initially told me that Phil committed suicide, or that Phil was murdered by somebody who was he had went to AA with. Now they didn't have any evidence of that, and then she tells me that the case was closed, that they had determined that Phil had committed suicide. Now, mind you, I was suspicious of this because Loretta's father uh, uh, had been determined that he committed suicide. And being Italian people, I didn't trust any of that, even about her father, because he could have been uh, uh, connected to the family business. You know how Italian people get down anyway. So I didn't know that that was true. Uh, but I what made me even more suspicious was that Loretta had been married, and the father to her two sons, her husband, also committed suicide. So I was very suspicious of that, and thought that Loretta and my teacher had put their heads together to arrange uh, a death for Phil that looked like suicide. Um, so Loretta would be very upset with me about this. And as I say that, she was my friend and I loved her, but she did have a dark side that I would not want to uh, confront. So, and I imagine that with this video is exactly what I'm doing. So, but anyway, uh, yeah. So my teacher have a big, beautiful home there in Bear, Delaware, and so I'm suspicious of that, considering the fact that he was working in a plastic factory, making about $5 an hour there when I was in my 40s. I visited him. The last I saw him when I was 42 years old. And I know this for a fact because I stayed about a week and got a job at the same factory where he was working at, and found it to be quite humiliating, and was glad to get away from him at the time that he was had disclosed to me that he was having sex with a kid in high school when he was in high school, and introduced it to me as being uh, that was the best pussy in high school. So, and that revealing to me that he was bisexual ever since he was a child, and this uh, solidified the dynamic for me between he and my wife, because my wife had revealed to him that I was a sensitive man, and that was one of the things that she said to me, is that I was so sensitive I should be with a man, because she had made me cry over her. So, and everybody knows a man is not supposed to cry. So at the end of our marriage, I was so devastated that my wife had me crying on the street, as sitting down with her standing over top of me with her hands on her hips, feeling powerful, as children walked by, uh, seeing this man so devastated and crying, broken. And she really enjoyed that. So, with that being said, I'm going to end this video. Cap Buffalo Soldier sending out the SOS there to Holland for my son to stand up and separate himself, cut the cord, separate yourself, son, and get your ass to the United States. And let it be known uh, that that's a small thing for to have a homicide.